This morning, I want to give you a subject I felt very strongly in my heart to bring a word of encouragement this morning. And the word for us this morning is, I'm having some mic difficulties. Testing. Testing. All right, the word of encouragement for us this morning is from Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Be not weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. This morning we will talk about it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. From this book of Galatians, the Apostle Paul has been preaching in a region called Galatia. And this letter that has been written is not just to a specific group, it is to all the churches that are in Galatia. Galatia is like a region, and in this region has many cities. It's like North Carolina, but in North Carolina there are 100 counties and God knows how many cities. All right, so Galatian here, Paul has written this letter to this group, these churches in Galatia, and he's having to write a letter because he's got three issues going on in this region. One, he's got false teachers that are in this region. They are preaching a false gospel in this region, and you have people who are failing converts in this region. There's false teachers in here. There's a false gospel being preached, and you have failing converts that are in this region of Galatia. And Paul has had to write this letter to address some serious issues in Galatia, mainly this issue of this false gospel. The false gospel is talking about, Paul is preaching a gospel of grace which says you and I come to Jesus by faith alone. The false gospel is from those who are Jews who want to accept Jesus, but want everyone to keep the same laws that the Jewish traditions kept. So he says, in order to be in covenant with God, you have to be circumcised. Paul is saying there's no need for that now. All we need to do is believe in Jesus. Let me give you the Robert O'Neill translation. What he's saying, the Jewish sect is saying, in order to be a Christian, everybody has to pull out their fingernails. Okay? You have to pull off your fingernails. It didn't matter what age you were. If you wanted to become a Jewish part of the Jewish nation, you had to pull out your fingernail. Can you imagine how painful that would be? Okay. Paul says you don't have to pull out your fingernail to become a Christian. You just believe. But the false gospel says, yeah, you can have Jesus, but you still got to pull your fingernail out. And Paul is trying to combat this issue because it's not a true gospel. It's pushing a lot of works and not faith in the Lord. So Paul is trying to push back because this church, in the churches in this region, they are going through a lot of persecution. So in order to have to get out of this persecution, the Jews says, here's what you can do. If you keep Jewish law, pull your fingernail out, then you won't be persecuted. So salvation is in pulling the fingernail out, keeping the law, and you believe in Jesus. Paul says not so. It is purely believing in Jesus Christ only. You don't pull your fingernail out. You're going to be persecuted if you say Jesus only, so to speak. If you say, I believe in Jesus, and don't pull your fingernail out. You got to be willing to do that. Paul is coming to this Galatian church to explain that to them, that listen, you and I must believe in Jesus and Jesus alone. Well, what does that mean for us today? When we find ourselves in this life, in the 21st century, in 2015, tempted beyond belief sometimes, pressured, tried, and sometimes we want to back down from the faithfulness of serving our Lord Jesus Christ. You don't have to say it's already happening in the room. We find ourselves fainting and even throwing in the towel when the times get hard and times get rough. And in the midst of that, we get discouraged. But God wants to encourage us today that no matter what you're going through, He tells us that it's only a matter of time and due season is coming. It's only a matter of time that trouble, as we were saying Thursday night, that trouble don't last always. that you and I are going to have to go through some persecution, some trying times, but God will see us through. It's only a matter of time. Let's investigate the text, church, and we'll see in this one verse how it is just a matter of time. And he tells us three things that we should do in the text. Number one, he says that listen, don't get weary. I'm not making it up. It's in verse 9. It's right there. He said, and be not what? Weary. Be not weary. That word weary, that issue, that getting weary speaks to this, speaks to our motivation. Speaks to our motivation. Don't be weary. This word weary means to be exalted. Not exalted. Exhausted. It means to be exhausted. I am exhausted. It means to be exhausted. It means to be spiritless. You ever met a spirited person? Just so vivacious and so full of life, and they just early in the morning, you hadn't even had your coffee yet. Good morning. You just get out of my face. Just so excited about life and exuberant. They're just so spirited, so spunky, so sassy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know anybody like that? I do. Just so excited about life. And the text here says that this word weary means to be exhausted, spiritless, no gumph, no umph, nothing, just woe is me, there's no life in you. He says for us in this text, in order to last and to make it and to push through, he says, don't get weary. Matter of fact, he's saying don't lose your motivation. Don't lose your motivation. You know, this doesn't happen to us overnight. It happens over time that we endure the same old, and before you know it, what you've been carrying has weighed you down. If you ever, I've walked in the hospital many times, and I've seen strong, robust men walking in straight, and then I've seen 80, 60-year-old men, and then before they know it, they're bent down, and it seems normal to them, but it's not. They've carried life, and and just the age in their body that they're now bent over. You and I, as we deal with issues in life, find ourselves being weighed down, and sometimes we lose our own motivation. We lose our own motivation. We don't motivate each other anymore. You can lose motivation. Children can lose motivation by the way we discourage them. When we don't encourage them, they lose the motivation for reading and for learning. They lose the motivation. Mommy, you know when they come up to you in all odd times, you're on the phone, look what I done, Mommy, look what I done. And you're wanting them to go away because you're watching the Maury show or whatever. You're saying, you bother me. If too much of that happens, they lose the motivation to come to impress you, because that's what our children want to do. Mommy, look at what I've done. Daddy, you see this, Daddy? Aren't I pretty? Yes, you're beautiful. Praise the Lord. If we don't encourage, we lose motivation. Paul is telling the church that even though you're being persecuted, don't get weary with the persecution you're going through. He says, because if you do, you're going to lose your motivation. That's right. If we lose our motivation, we end up giving up. The issue in the text here sometimes for us is that if we're not people of encouragement, we will find ourselves discouraging and wearing people out. Anybody know anybody that sometimes just wears you out? It's an issue on Monday, every Monday of every month. It's an issue doesn't matter what it is. It seems like to be an issue, and it seems that each time you have to deal with that same issue, it just wears you down. Repeated offenses to a person can cause a person to lose their motivation. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Repeated offenses can cause a person, to lose your motivation. It's good for wives. Listen, I know he get on your nerves, but nagging is not going to encourage the situation. I can tell you that without a shadow of a doubt. The same way husbands acting like, keep doing the same offense to your wife. You think, because you say you're sorry, she's cool. She's not cool. It's getting worse in her heart, and she's losing her motivation to love because of the offense that you and I keep committing. If you and I lose this motivation, we will become weary. Paul says, do not be weary in well-doing. Amen. It's not a suggestion. This is a command. This is a right now. You better wake up, open your eyes. Don't get weary in what you're having to go through. Every one of us got trials and tribulations. Every one of us are facing some tough days, and we're still dealing with some tough days. We got some stuff back in the 90s that we're dealing with right now.
Amen. Amen.
Okay, we got some stuff back when after our pre-saved days, our pre-Jesus days, pre-cross days, we did some things now that are catching up with us, and we say to ourselves, God isn't with me. God is with you. You just got to go through it. Stay motivated.
Amen.
Keep being encouraged. Don't let what you're going through now cause you to drop out of the race. Don't let what you're going through now make you a phony and a fake. Because that false gospel says, listen, you can skip out on the persecution if you just look like you've given your heart to Jesus. Go back to pulling your nails out. Go back to doing the things that you used to do to look like the rest of us, but inside you have not received the life-changing message of Jesus Christ. He tells us, number one, don't get weary. If you get weary, you lose your motivation.
That's right.
Number two in the text, he says, listen, don't stop doing good. Still in verse 9, here's what he says, and let us not grow weary, listen, in doing good. King James may say, in well-doing. Don't get weary, but don't stop doing good. Don't stop doing good works. This is an issue of your momentum. This is an issue of your momentum. Man, you ever I've seen people, we get saved, I've done it, but I've seen some of my friends do it, giving their heart to Jesus, and they start out 90 miles an hour for Jesus.
Wow.
I mean 90 miles an hour for Jesus. They call out every sin that they see. They call out, man, you can't do, I mean everything. And sometimes we forget, we forget. We used to do it too, but we call it out. I ain't doing that stuff no more. And over time, especially if they have not grown in the Lord, reading the Bible, praying, spending time with God, attending church, hearing the Word of God, it's only a matter of time before that momentum that they have gets halted because they've run out too quickly or done something or said something too in a place where they're not ready to receive, or they have not grown to that place. They find themselves losing their momentum. That word doing is an active word. It means to perform, to make, to do. It means that we should be in the process of doing, because doing is what God has called us to do. When you look at God, somebody said 2/3 of God's name is go. When God calls us, when God chooses us, He tells us to get up and go. Go share your faith. Go share what God has done for you. Go share how God has transformed you, how He has blessed your life. Listen, if you stop doing good works, you lose your momentum. That word good in this text means this. You're going to love this. It means beautiful. It means handsome, excellent. It means choicey. It means surpassing precious, useful, suitable, commendable, admirable. Beautiful to look at, shapely, magnificent, excellent in its nature and characteristics, and therefore well adapted to the ends. That word good, God, He says, Galatian churches, He says, don't stop doing good works. You lose your momentum. Don't stop doing everything that you know to do is good. James said it like this. He said, to him that knows to do good and doesn't do it, to him it is sin. Every time you can, do good. Every opportunity you can, be good. Every opportunity you have, you and I ought to give our very best in goodness. Yes. Why do evil? Why do wrong? Why lie? Why deceive people? Why put on the front? Why fake the funk? Why do all these things when the end result, church, is always negative? Have you found that out?
Yes.
We might get away with it for a while, but at the end, it's always catching up with us. Right. We might cheat the IRS for a while, but after a while, it will catch up with you.
Oh, yeah.
You're looking at your paycheck, and somebody's taking more than they should. They call garnishment. You understand what I'm saying? You got to listen, every time you can, do good, the text says. It's only a matter of time before God's going to see our good works and bless us. There's a text in Hebrews that says that God is not unrighteous to forget your acts of kindness and your labor of love that you do show forth to the saints. That's good news to people who take care of their sick parents. That's good news to people who make sure they take care of their children and handle those that are less fortunate than them. That's good news for you, because what he's saying is God remembers all the good that you're doing. God remembers all the good good that you're doing.
Yes.
It's only a matter of time before he opens up his reservoir and say thank you. It's only a matter of time before he says, I appreciate you taking care of somebody who is less fortunate than you. Every single time you get a chance, don't stop doing good, is what he's saying. You know what stops us from doing good? Is rejection. When someone rejects the good that you do, you find yourself saying, you know, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Right.
It's like that in love relationships. You know, you've been in love and you've been together a while, and then after a while the relationship busts up and you say to yourself, I'm not going there anymore. I'll never get married again. I'll never be that kind of person again. I'll never put my walls down, because rejection has a way, watch this, of causing you to lose momentum. Anybody with me in the house?
Amen.
Rejection will cause you to back up and say, you know, I'm not going to give the way I used to give anymore. If you're told to each and every time to get out of your face, every time you start witnessing that happens, and somebody, I don't want to hear what you got to say, we back off. Every time you talk about doing good, I love God, I love the Lord, and people reject what you say. No, well, I better keep that stuff to myself. No, my brothers and sisters, every time you can, even in rejection, we've got to keep doing good.
Yes.
Can you imagine what the Galatian churches are going through? They're being persecuted just for saying, I will serve the Lord. They're being persecuted for saying, I don't want my fingernail pulled out. You understand what I'm saying? They're saying, I want to serve Jesus, and they're being persecuted to no end, and yet the preacher tells them, don't stop doing good even if you're being persecuted.
Yes.
Rejection can cause us to lose our momentum. Rejection causes us to lose our momentum. Rejection causes us to lose our momentum.
Yes.
Hey, be encouraged, church. Be encouraged in your heart. Be encouraged with whatever you're doing. Do good to the best of your ability. Don't let setbacks and setups and failures stop you from doing what's right. Don't let because someone hurt you that you start hurting somebody else. Because you know who hurts people? Hurt people hurt people.
Amen.
Hurt people hurt other people.
That's true.
Don't stop doing good. That's why Jesus says, and Paul would say, don't repay evil for evil. Always do good. God remembers, He'll remember you bad, but He'll bless you when you do good.
Yeah.
He remembers whenever you give your very best. It might be like that in your own finances. You need some momentum in your own finances. Listen, keep doing good, keep serving God. He is going to bless. He knows when to open the right door at the right time. Listen, the message is it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time.
Yes.
Don't start cutting up now because it ain't happening right. Don't start, I'm telling you, don't start cutting up now. Don't start cursing God now and start backing off and backsliding now because you've hit a tough time in life. No, it's only a matter of time. Trouble don't last always. It changes. Things change. Things shift. Hey, did you wake up Monday and look at your 401k and see how much money you lost? Don't do it. I wouldn't do it if I were you. I wouldn't do it. When the markets were acting funny and all the gains for 2015 were gone in one day, I mean, that really messes with your mind if you're not thinking right. Some of those who are close to retirement, that's, you know, that's my money. That's my money.
Baby,
you understand? But for some of us, it may not make sense to you and I because that doesn't touch our hearts. Whatever touches you, listen, whatever you're going through financially, God's going to see you through.
Yes, He will.
God's going to make things turn around. It's only a matter of time. You know, I was thinking about finances, and my wife and I, for the last couple of years, we've just been working hard trying to get rid of some old debts and trying to pay them off and looking for answers of how we could do it. And we ran across one guy named Dave Ramsey. Anybody ever heard of Dave Ramsey? All right, Dave Ramsey is a financial guru, a Christian financial guru who his methods are just wonderful. They're not easy. You must be disciplined and you must be determined. He said you got to be like a gazelle to get out of debt. You got to mean business or want to run out of debt. And so he teaches this method, this thing that's called a snowball. It's a snowball effect where he teaches you where you start with the lowest bill that you have. You take the very lowest bill that you have. Don't start with the biggest bill because you're going to faint along the way. You start with the very lowest bill that you have, and you do everything to pay that bill off. So let's just say your bill, the lowest bill you got, some kind of debt you got, the lowest bill you got is $20. You get some money inside, try to make some extra money, maybe you got another part-time job, whatever, do something. Get that $20 and pay that one bill off. Do you know what happens? You got $20 extra now. You take that $20 extra, and let's say the next bill you have, let's keep it even numbers, let's say the next bill you have is $40. So now you don't have to try to create another $20. You already got a $20 that you paid off. You got an extra $20. Now you just need to come up with one more $20, and you can pay that $40 bill off. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Let me push it further. After you've paid the $20 bill off and the $40 bill off, now you've got how much money left? How much money are we working with? $60. You got $60. Now you got a bill, let's say that is $100. You don't have to try to create $60. You got $60 if you don't go buy ice cream, cookies, and cake into the movies. And you got $60 now to put towards another $100 bill. So really what you got 60 that you've been working with, and now you got to come up with 60 from 100 is what? 40. Now you just need 40 more dollars to put the $60 to make the $100 to pay that $100 bill off. It's called the snowball effect. You see, your money keeps growing. You didn't come up with anything extra. You know what you started with? The 20. Are you following me? I wish I had my board. I would draw it out for you. But you're building. So now you got $100. 3 bills are paid off. Anybody ever paid a bill off? Yes. Oh, there's not enough over here. I paid my car off a couple of months ago. Man, it was woo. I'm talking about a red car. It was woo. It was different. You understand? It was different. It's not theirs. It's mine now. You understand what I'm saying? I told you, my buttons are under pressure. You ever paid? I paid off that car and it's mine. The title, mine. Not the bank's, is mine. Nobody's coming to get it. You understand what I'm saying? It's mine. You got that $100, and now let's say you got a $200 bill. So all you have to come up with, if you don't spend up all your money, you still got that $100 you just let working and rolling. Now you're going to take that 100 and put on that other 200. So what's left is 100. Just keep working till you pay it off. Listen, if you gotta start somewhere is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. Start at the 20, and you end up, before you know it, you're paying off all your bills in a matter of 3 to 5 to 6 years, depending on how much debt you got. And listen, he says, don't stop doing good works. No matter, even if you're having these setbacks. You said, preacher, I've been looking for a job and I just can't find one. There's also this thing in sales that they call the law of the average 10, the law of 10. That if you get at least 10 phone calls, you're bound to turn up with at least 1 sale. If you send out at least 10 resumes, you're bound to at least get a call or something. You might not get the interview. They might not like the way you sound on the phone. I don't know. But at least if you get 10, you're bound to at least get 1. Hey, let's get crazy. If you get 20, you're bound to at least get 2. Man, y'all just, let's say you do 40 applications and 40 resumes in a month's time or in a week or two's time. You're bound to at least get 4 interviews. Possibly 4 interviews. That means you need to put your game face on. That means you need to have your resume right. That means you need to have that suit already pressed and ironed. It's just hanging up. Baby, don't touch my suit. That's my interview suit. We don't wear that out. That's my interview suit. You understand what I'm saying? Don't get my shirt dirty. That's my interview suit. Right? Are y'all with me this morning? Yeah. You don't stop doing good just because you keep hitting hard times. You're trying to keep this momentum going, church. Keep pushing. Keep pressing. It's hard. Praise the Lord. Yeah. You're learning something. Life is hard. Nothing is easy. Nobody's going to give you anything. I wish I had some witness this morning. You keep pressing with the momentum that you have. Something is going to take you. It's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. Or you start feeling yourself, you done threw out 60 resumes, at least 6. At least 6, maybe. Even if you get 3, it don't matter. God can work with you, but you got to keep pushing.
Right.
Don't slow down. Don't slow down. Don't stop. Can I move on? I got to go. Here's my last point, and then we'll be done a little bit early. He tells us, don't get weary. He says, listen, don't stop doing good works. But thirdly, he says in this text, don't stop, listen, waiting on God. Don't stop waiting on God. Not getting weary deals with the motivation. Not stopping doing the good works deals with your momentum. But when you wait on God, watch this, church, it deals with your maturity. When you wait on God, it deals with your maturity. The text says, it's in verse 9, he says, listen, the text says, and let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in what? In due season. Due season is talking about timing. Due season. You know, in our Christian church today, the word season has lost its value. People come up today, it's just not my season. My season has changed.
Yeah, my ship turned a different way.
They take this word season, folks, they start saying stuff like this. I had to write it down because I've heard every last one of these. Folks they said, them people tripping on my job, so I quit. I don't have any worries because my season has changed. God's going to take care of me. Right? That's some special faith you got right there. That'll run out quick. I've heard this. I've heard this one. I've heard this. This is one of the craziest ones this lady said to me. She said, I'm divorcing my husband. She says, because we're out of love. We've fallen out of love. And she says, you know, my season has changed. And God wants me to be happy right now. I won't argue something. When people have gone that road, you just go ahead, baby. If that's what you think the God that you serve is all about, you go ahead. I've heard this one. I'm leaving my church because I can't do this, I can't do that. My pastor teaches this kind of way, and them members at that church are hypocrites. My season has changed. I got to go somewhere where I can be free. Okay. Go ahead, do what you got to do. People use this word season, listen, to justify some of their bad decisions. Oh, you ought to mark that down. Yeah. People use the word season. My season has changed. My life is changing. God's shifting me. There it is right there. He's shifting me. Shifting the atmosphere. My season has changed. They use that kind of talk to justify some real bad, lazy, no good, ungodly decisions. And that word season loses its foundation. It loses its power. It loses what it really means. Season speaks to the issue, church, of maturity. Yeah. He says in due season. It's real simple. Let me get close to you. What maturity, just because someone is 16 and they can get the driver's license doesn't mean they know how to drive. Amen. Y'all with me this morning? Yeah. Just because you are 21 years of age legally, that doesn't mean you know how to be an adult. That's right. Amen. Just because you're at the legal age to drink, that doesn't mean you know how to drink responsibly. I didn't get many amens this. Season speaks to maturity. He says to us in the text, he's telling the Corinthian church, the Galatian churches, don't jump out of this crazy. Like don't move too quickly, because what you do, you miss the maturity issue you got going on. The trouble we get into, the debt we get into, is a lack of maturity that we have. Yes. Remember what James kept saying to us? He says let patience have its perfect work in you. He says, so when you're at that right place, there'll be no need for any want in your life. Because whatever you need, you'll be able to wait it out. Yes. My grandfather used to talk about that all the time. And when he talked about praying it out and just stand before the Lord, wait and let God do it. And then he would say, I can do without until I can get it. And he would say, I'll hold out until I can pay for it with cash. My wife and I, man, we've been learning that lesson. That everything that I get, everything that I possibly can, I got to pay for it with cash. If I can't get it with cash, I don't need it. Just wait for it. Boy, you know how long I've been wanting a 55-inch flat screen television. I can't afford that. No, preacher, just speaking by faith. The devil is a lie. I cannot afford that. Look how much faith I got. Unless I got a tree in the back of my yard that produces money with different serial numbers, I can't afford it. So what I do, I just keep waiting. And you know what I've noticed? That the prices of televisions keep going down. All I gotta do is just wait it out. Well, Robert, there's gonna be a better television. I don't care. My faith right now is on that 55 inch. Okay, that's all I care about. They might have one that looks like somebody is in the TV. I don't care. I just want the 55. And when my time comes, I'll be able to pay for it with cash. Are you with me today? Sometimes we get in so much trouble because of the maturity issue. He says, don't stop waiting on God. You have to, the issue that they're dealing with here, if the issue of motivation is repeated offenses, and if the issue of losing the momentum is a rejection, then the issue of maturity is restlessness. Restlessness.
Yep.
I gotta have it now. Restlessness. If I don't get it, you know when they say to you, this is a once
In a lifetime.
Okay, the only one who is restless are them people because they want your money. And they want to stir you up, and they stir you up, and they say, listen, you're going to miss this opportunity if you don't get it today. And he said, and you tell them, but listen, they hear you sitting in front of them saying, well, I get paid on this day, and I'll have the money on this day. Now, someone who loves you, cares about you, is thinking about you, would say to you, hey, baby, you might not can't afford this. Don't worry about it. But the one who wants your money is saying, oh, okay, what day can we draft it on?
That's right.
What day can we draft it on? Well, I get my food stamp check on this one, and I get my baby daddy check on this one. And all they say, oh, no problem, we'll work with you. What day? What day you want? What day? I got you. Don't worry about it, girl. And if you need to change the date, just call us back. We'll change the date for you. They know. They already know you can't afford it. Right. They already know that.
Yep.
They already know. But because of the maturity issue, the restlessness we got going on, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. I got to have it. Listen, you know how long I waited to get a phone like this? My friends and everybody, I had my phone, it was like a brick phone, and it was about that big, and it was heavy, and they laughed at me. I kept it until the screen went white and black.
Yep. Amen.
I paid for it. I paid for it cash, and so when everybody else is paying what you do is you renting your phone. What you do?
Yeah.
You got a contract for 2 years, and you holding on to that contract, paying the 2-year contract for the phone and the plan. When you can buy the phone, and it's yours.
Right.
You might buy the phone and don't activate it for a while just so you can get your money and get back to it.
Right.
And then turn it on. That's what I did. And that's what I did. Because while I was in the hospital, watch this now, parents, you might not know this, but while you're in the hospital, if you can get Wi-Fi, you can make a telephone.
That's right.
If you can get Wi-Fi, you can make a telephone call. So I don't have to have. Some people wise up, they don't even have a home phone, they just have a cell phone.
Amen.
Whatever it takes, listen, so you can get in life where you need to be. It's only a matter of time. You won't always be in this financial situation if you don't stop moving. You keep that momentum going. Don't get weary. And listen, and just let God mature you and grow you up through this painful process that we're going through.
Yes.
Because the maturity of the issue, the fact of the issue is if we don't wait, we're going to get what you did not want.
Amen.
And I say that again.
Amen.
If you don't wait, you're going to get what you do not want.
Amen. That's why
I try to encourage young people, listen, you can end up having sex too early and it messes up your life forever. Because you're not mature enough. We're not mature enough to wait. We can, get married too early and it messes up our life because we weren't mature enough to wait. You can move out too early because you want to be on your own and find yourself in more debt than you can afford. Church, you and I, listen, we want to make sure. Tell them don't start a fight over there. You want to make sure you don't allow restlessness to get a hold of you. Are you with me this day?
Yes.
All right, so I'm done. The end of the text says this. Listen. So listen, don't Don't jump ahead of God. Just keep waiting on God. It will be worth it at the end. It will be worth it at the end. Look at verse 9. Look at the latter part of the text. This is just one verse. He says, and be not weary in well doing, for in due season you shall what?
Reap.
He said, what?
Reap.
You maybe.
Reap.
You shall. You shall reap if you don't what?
Faint.
If you don't give up. If you don't faint. You shall reap. It will be worth it. Don't stop doing good. God is going to bless.
Yes, He's going to work it out.
He's going to work it out. That's a good word. He's going to work it out. It's only a matter of time. God's going to work it out. It's only a matter of time. Take what I'm saying to your church. With your money, with your jobs, whatever it is you got going on in your life, stay before the Lord. Don't lose the motivation. Don't lose your momentum. Please, for God's sake, don't let God mature you up. It's only a matter of time before the door opens, before the opportunity comes. And listen, as I was trying to tell the church the other night, we were talking about, Jesus was saying, pray to the Lord of the harvest that He would send laborers into the workforce. We want God to do these things, because when the Lord opens the door, no man can close it. When the Lord opens the door, no man can close it. Let's pray. Father, we thank you. We thank you today, Lord, just for this quick word, I pray. Lord, it's only a matter of time. And maybe, Lord, we've lost our momentum, our motivation, and we haven't realized that this is a matter of maturity. Lord, we want to come to you, Lord, with open hearts and open minds, saying, Lord, help us to hold on and to hold out. Help us to keep looking to the hills which cometh our help. For all of our help, Lord, comes from you. Lord, we want to open the altar now. If there's anyone that needs prayer, special prayer, Lord, we want to pray, God, that you would encourage them and push them and help them to keep the momentum going. God, remove roadblocks that are in their way, anything that would stop them from pressing forward. Lord, open a door for somebody, God, that they may see how good you are, how close you are, how you're ready to provide for them if they will continuously wait on you, and you will renew their strength. And we give you praise today. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.